1, 2. Hey, sharp. Take 3, that looks good. Coming to you. Ready, 3, and take 2. On 2. 2, you're live. Jackass!
Good evening from Roanoke, Texas. I'm your host, Rick Harr. Tonight on the Show Tech Show, just me up here, no Scott. Scott is out with the Column Awards tonight, so just me rocking the set. But I've got my good buddy Jordan working the board tonight.
Hi, how's it going? I'm here.
Hi, everybody.
Yep, rocking this board.
Yeah,
Make sure
yeah.
it doesn't crash like it sometimes does. But yep.
Thank you for that. So we're going to do our best to soldier on without Scotty helping us out tonight. He, like I said, he's out with the Column Awards tonight. They're doing their 16th annual gala and award show. I believe our man, the LD of the evening, is up for count on three
awards.
local awards from the Column Awards. So we did want to say break a leg to all those fine folks, and hope to hear some good things from Scott next week when he rejoins us with perhaps some footage as well as a special guest potentially. On tonight's show, like I said, me and Jordan are going to be rocking it out. We're both broadcasty kind of guys, so we're going to geek out on the upcoming NAB show in Las Vegas in April. Also joining me, my 3-year-old son is going to be on set with us at some point tonight. Oh, he dressed for the occasion. Come here, buddy. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Oh, dapper little man's got the hair going and a tie and everything. Making me look bad, buddy. So,
Guess I'll look bad.
like I said, we're talking about NAB on tonight's show, the National Association of Broadcasters annual conference out in sunny Las Vegas this April. And scissors. More on that as it develops. We're also going to take a look around the job board this week in our recurring segment that promotes and finds the awesomest of show tech jobs out there for you, the viewer, who we care about. And we'll also look at the week's news stories. Oh, good. And then later in the show, the little one and I will be having a spitting contest.
I would like to join in this also.
Oh, good. Okay, Jordan. Jordan's down for spitting contest. All right.
I think I could win this.
It's going to be a really unique show tonight on the Show Tech Show. All right, so like I said, first we're going to take a look at the news this week in Show Tech land. And thank you for joining us. Sorry you have to run.
So
come back and see us sometime. He loves the monitor. Big confidence monitor guy. The news segment that we like to call Next. Next! All right, man. Well, Jordan, let's kick it off this week. Another Apple story, as we're wont to do here on the Show Tech Show. Apparently, we're huge Apple geeks.
Yeah.
The news this week, and it's still out of the Apple rumor mill, so take it with a grain of salt, but Apple TV, not the product, the service, has been announced to be on the verge of coming out. This would be an over-the-top service, as they call it, a streaming television, streaming broadcast, online offering from the big A. A service, I think they're calling it at about $40 a month is what you can expect to pay for access to broadcast offerings through the Apple brand. I wanted to talk about this again because I'm a huge streaming TV and streaming media nerd, but also because last week we talked about the Apple TV box dropping from $99, its customary price, down to I believe it's $69 now.
$69.
Yeah, so it's a pretty significant price drop for a product that's been on the market at that price point for a very long time. And my conspiracy theory hat tells me this is because Apple's getting ready to roll out this service, and the Apple TV platform will be the way that subscribers get their primary access to it on their home television. So they want to get that subscriber base up as much as possible to please the investors. Also, it's rumored that there's going to be an iteration of the Apple TV hardware platform coming out soon. So obviously you want the new one. You don't want that old $69 piece of garbage. But I think the two are interrelated. Jordan, what do you think, man?
Yeah, and with also the release of the, with HBO coming out with HBO Now, basically saying that you do not have to have a membership or a subscription or not a subscription, I say that, but you don't have to have a cable provider now. And at first, Apple TV is going to be the only one to use this.
I think that's already changed too. They were supposed to have some sort of exclusive agreement, but yeah, that somebody else's. I think I forget who the provider is, but there's already somebody else brokering the HBO Now platform.
Yeah, I think Roku and some of the other providers out there are starting to come into this now. But Apple's the main plan on cording right now, on basically kind of getting rid of like, hey, we can provide you all the programs that you want just with a little small box, and then you can hook it up to whatever TV you want. You don't have to have a cable provider or a satellite provider. All you do is just basically internet on demand. Boom, it's there. It's ready to go. So it's pretty simple. I think that's the honest way I would go, is basically just get my Apple TV, the box, and then just get the Apple TV service and just pay what shows I want to watch.
Yeah, I think so. The whole streaming video and a la carte thing has been a long time coming. The early adopters that we tend to buddy around with here in the industry, people have been begging for an alternative to packaged cable television bills in the $150 price range forever, so much to the point that people have started abandoning those practices en masse. The cord cutters, as you've heard us refer to them, and you hear a lot in the lingo nowadays. And Jordan, that's something else you wanted to talk about. That was one of your next things. So I don't know if this is a true next, but this is kind of a parlay. You can still run the bumper if you want, because we made it.
Next!
That's going to come to Eric. You guys said program.
So
I don't know what happens. We're talking about like cable cutting and basically getting rid of the expensive AT&T. I don't know if I should name brand. Getting rid of the expensive cable providers, satellite providers. Because honestly, there is a lot of programs that I just do not care about. Little channels that I do not care about, but I'm paying for them. I'm paying for Home Shopping Network. I'm a guy. I'm not going to be watching Home Shopping Network. If I was married or had a girlfriend, yes, she would probably be watching Home Shopping Network or Lifetime or Disney Kids. If that's great for family and stuff like that.
Sponsor.
Ping. But other than that, I don't really need that stuff. There's only a few shows I watch. That's it. And honestly, if you look at my DVR, it's the same thing every week. A few shows Sunday night, a few shows Monday night, nothing really on Tuesday, nothing really Wednesday, a few shows Thursday, a few shows Friday. And I'm almost on the same network.
That is not uncommon in America nowadays. Nobody watches the 180 channels they sell you on the super lineup. Everybody knows you buy that lineup so that you have access to the 1 or 2 channels. Like my dad, he's on probably ATTU versus largest package just because he likes motorsports, so he'll watch Speed Vision, which they've got buried down in some ridiculous tier of programming that you have to order. They've got like 300 channels and like 1 NTSC television in their house. It's ridiculous. So, for the longest time, I think everybody's kind of been crying out. Now, I've told you the story behind that, right? This isn't necessarily your Comcast, your Time Warner, your AT&T people who mandate all of those channels bundled together. It's actually the content producers, people like your Turner networks, the people like
CBS, Fox, ABC, all of them have to work together, and that's what I think is going to happen. Is like these companies are willing to probably, you think, pay less to be on a network? Honestly, like these networks, like ABC.
No. Here's the thing. Let me see, because maybe that's unclear. So these people, like for example, the people who have CNN in their lineup, or ESPN's a good one. The parent network that produces that particular channel, they also have 20, 25, 30 other networks that you could care less about, but they insist to the cable providers, the package providers that ultimately resell it to you, the consumer. They insist if you're going to carry one of these channels, you have to have all of them. So you can't, and they charge it's something probably in the range of like 10 to 25 cents per channel per viewer. So if you've got a subscriber base of 30 million people, you're paying a quarter for everyone to access that channel. But they don't just sell you that channel. You also have to pay 25 cents for the DIY network, and 25 cents for ESPN 12, and 25 cents for the Home Shopping Network, and all these other ones they've bundled in as part of their content creation package. So at the end of the day, they're on the hook for $8 worth of show for just the one channel. So they have to turn around and pass that along to you because they've already paid for it. So it really costs them nothing more to give it to you. But in order to get that one channel that anybody gives a rat's butt about, you have to get the other 15 that they're just trying to sell, so that then they can turn around to their advertisers and say, look at how many millions of people subscribe to Underwater Basket Weaving channel. It's amazing. It's a huge hit. It's a runaway, things, and since the Nielsen system is ridiculous, stupid, they're like, oh yeah, you must be getting good returns on that dollar, so we'll advertise on that. And that's basically how you get screwed in the end. So it's not necessarily AT&T saying, ha ha ha, a million channels that nobody wants. It's the people who make that one channel that you want that are messing with you.
Yeah. So let's say if you do cut the cord, what's that going to do with like some of the small, like I would say small, but the local channels, like your local news networks and stuff like that, since they usually broadcast through AT&T or Verizon, or would you just have a set of digital
that's a lot of the cord cutting movement. I mean, people, a lot of people will subscribe over the air, or view their channels over the air, local broadcasts, and that's a big thing for
through
sports.
like a digital rabbit ears.
Right? Yeah, you just get an antenna, put it up on the roof, or you have something in the window and pick up those channels. Out here in Roanoke, we're a little bit more rural than some locations, so that becomes significantly more difficult to pick up over the air.
I think I saw a couple mice outside, like running on a little wheel, just trying to generate electricity out here.
Yeah, that's how we do things out here in the sticks. This entire broadcast operation is basically held up by sustainable farming. We've got a manure pile in the backyard generating.
Hey, that's the way to go.
Yeah,
we could do another show on that about how just basically sustain farming and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we could get any more off the rails. So Showtex, watching the show, we only really talk about cord cutting and live streaming, A, because, well, you're watching streaming media right now, so it's at least a little bit pertinent to you. And B, if you're in the industry, this is what we feel, at least, is going to eventually replace the broadcast system that we've all kind of supported from that point of view. So, it's good to know about these things and where the economy is going in general. And then, like I said, you're a consumer as much as a producer, so might save some dollars out of your wallet to understand what's going on in this space. Did you have a link that you want to talk about cord cutting? I know you had.
Yeah, I have a link.
Hijacked
Yeah, sorry. My little link about cord cutting right here was basically this: is another marketeer out there, another company is basically kind of allowing you to watch TV shows. The Sony PlayStation.
Oh yeah, that's
gaming console.
New this week too, isn't it?
Yeah, it's new. Well, they kind of unveiled it in November, but it's going to be rolling out here.
That was very diplomatic. Like, oh yeah, it's kind of new this week. I mean, it came out in November, stupid. But I mean, yeah, pretty much.
It rolled out in November. Like it's almost like Apple, how they announce their stuff every quarterly, but you're not going to see it until for a couple more months. So basically, PlayStation is offering this new thing called View, and it offers 85 channels of live and on-demand TV content from CBS, Fox, NBC, ESPN. Those are currently not being offered. But, it's different stuff like Discovery, any Viacom network, stuff like that. Well, they will,
because
it will get there soon.
The Sling TV story that we had a couple weeks back, another one of these over-the-top offerings that's bypassing the traditional cable distribution. ESPN is one of the channels on their lineup, so for $20 a month, you can get that limited selection of streaming channels, and so ESPN is already open to that concept.
Yeah,
so it's just a matter of time before these other platforms, because once you cross that bridge, the name of the game is eyeballs. You want as many people watching you as possible so that you can turn around and sell those people to advertisers. That's how it works, folks. So they have no interest in being very selective about who carries them. They want as many platforms as possible to maximize their opportunity to be seen and viewed and counted. So, I have no doubt that PlayStation and Apple TV and all these other providers are going to pick them up eventually.
Yeah, and also coming out with it's simpler, with Apple Roku and Google Chrome and all this Amazon. I mean, part of like my Amazon Prime thing is I can watch TV like episodes after they've been out a day, and with Hulu and stuff like that, all this TV streaming. And here's the coolest thing about it is like Netflix. I watch quite a bit of shows. Netflix produce. House of Cards, which is a great show, is 4K streamable. Mm-hmm. So if you have a really fast connection and a 4K TV, you're watching 4K content that
honestly better than your conventional cable providers can offer. That's kind of cool. Me,
like DirecTV or any satellite provider cannot do 4K streaming through their satellites. Also through any kind of cabling, coax cable that's running from the dish, whatever. It can't be done. It's only handling out 1080 or 720.
Well, that may change, and I think we've got it in some of our NAB talk later on in the show. The advanced technologies coming down the pipe. But you're right. That's it's not only is it a more innovative way of delivering content the way people want to see it. It's a more technically capable way. So it's ahead of the curve on all fronts. And for sure, it's going to be something.
And also, I've talked to you about this privately, how it'd just be lovely just for, for me to cut the cord, just get rid of my provider and have, I wish Google would just come in here, drop their fiber lines in, and I get the 1 terabyte connection or something like that.
Oh yeah, that's
or the gigabyte.
Now that's the other part of this is all of these wonderful internet delivered channels. They still require internet, so it's not like you're going to say, "Ha ha, Time Warner, I'm done with you forever." Could I also have your internet connection though?
Yeah, so don't go outside and start with a pair of like clippers, start cutting every cable that's going to your
literally
house.
cut
That's
your
not going to
cord.
work.
That will not end well. But that's another thing. There's more methods of delivery are coming onto the market. Google Fiber is obviously one of our excitable ones. They're very limited, but they offer something to the tune of 10 to 100 times faster connectivity to the home than any other provider is willing to offer right now at prices that are third world cheap. It's amazing. There's also some interesting products coming out perhaps further down the road, but satellite-based providers, I think SpaceX and Virgin Galactic, the space tourism company, those companies have both announced their long-term plans to deploy a constellation of high-speed broadband internet serving satellites. There's been some technical slip-ups with that kind of platform in the past. And then again, another Google project, the Google Loon project, where they're going to float hot air balloons into those more rural parts of the country and use microwave to bounce
I wonder
internet.
if the FCC is going to deal with that, since they set laws on drones.
Man, yeah, I know. Talk about our drone talk. That's where the FCC and the FAA meet for real, right? Like, it's flying internet. Who runs this? I don't know.
We're coming back to cutting the cord and stuff like that,
Thank you.
and mentioning.
Reel it in.
I'm bringing.
Yeah.
So cutting cord. Here's the thing I noticed, and if you have a DVR or anything like that, what I do with DVR, I fast forward through all the commercials.
Okay.
Honestly, I can watch a show quickly with the fast forwarding commercials. Now with basically this on demand, I noticed with my on demand stuff, I'm forced to watch the commercials. Can this help out advertisers more, saying now the people are actually watching the commercials and not skipping over them?
Oh yeah, and I joked about Nielsen being awful before, but they have already started making steps into the new media frontier where they're counting some of these online ad deliveries, and obviously it's a lot better return on investment for the advertisers because they can get very targeted demographics and very specific reports about who is watching and what platform and where they live and that sort of thing. Usually, at least at this stage in the game, a computer or a smartphone viewing instance, you'd know that one individual is watching that stream, most likely this person, whereas a lot of times they would float like, Super Bowl numbers, like, well, yeah, sure, the numbers were this, but most people were having parties, so you've got to figure there were 20 people in every room, so that's got to cost more for ads, right? But yeah, the internet demographics are much more targetable, lot better opportunities for just viewer-specific advertising. You can, like, Google will be the first people to do this, I'm sure. Like, look at your browsing history and it's like, oh, I see you were looking at this on Amazon. Well, I'm going to show you a commercial about this similar product, and then I'm going to tell the advertiser that I put it in front of a potential buyer, and that's going to definitely get the return on investment way up. So there's definitely a good ad model there. But what you said about watching commercials on these things, like a lot of your over-the-top services like Netflix, you pay a service fee, or you pay a fee for the service instead of watching commercial interstitials. Hulu's not quite the same. You still watch commercials, but
honestly, when I had Hulu, I did not get that. You're paying $10 or whatever.
Yeah, I stopped
a month,
subscribing to Hulu Plus,
and you're still watching advertisements. It's annoying. I was like, what am I paying $10 for? This is almost for a free service.
Yeah, that scam's not going to hold up, especially with these other offerings coming along. People are just not going to do it, but yeah, that was kind of what I was talking to one of my friends about today, was like, I can easily see myself at this point getting tricked into the fail of like, oh, I'm so tired of paying $80 a month for cable, I'm going to cut the cord, but I'm going to sign up for Netflix, and I'm going to sign up for HBO Now, and I'm going to sign up for Sling TV, oh, I'm going to get my Apple TV, and I got to have it. I'm going to end up paying $150 a month for the same channels just because I wanted to be a cord cutter. So really, cord cutting is like being a reader. You walk away from television and you just don't invest your life so much in that anymore. Maybe occasionally going back to the on-demand and buying a season and renting the whole thing and powering through. But
I mean, we could look almost into basically what ebooks have done to the public library.
Yeah. Well, there's definitely something to be said. I guess my point is for commercial-based advertising because, that will run out of control, and then my wife will wake up one day and slap me. So, okay, let's hit next on the cord cutting because I bet next Nazi. I bet there's some people out there who enjoy their television, so we'll stop harping on them. You should be quitters.
I want my old
I want
rabbit
my
ears.
MTV. Nobody wants their MTV. Nobody wants it. I'm sorry, guys. Wall Street Journal this week. Speaking of readers, they had some pretty cool coverage on the life of a roadie, and I put a link in there just kind of to show some colorful notes. But if you go out and search WSJ, they've got some cool stories about just the behind the scenes. They followed one lady who's basically a live show production coordinator, and it really kind of touched on the round the clock lifestyle that some of you poor souls work out in that industry.
I remember.
Crash?
I know.
Oh, you're just talking.
I'm
Every time the TD says, "Oh my gosh,"
my
I just
gosh.
kind of like
No,
colored things on my face.
I'm reliving the memories of when I did do some roadie work, and I simply loved it. You know, I love being on the road, but it was long hours, and you're just most of the time you're sleeping on a bus.
Sure, yeah. Well, I mean, that were some of the quotes that in this thing
venue.
was like, I chose to marry the road and things like that. Like you give up a certain amount of your life to live the dream.
But hey, if you love it and you're called for it, boom.
And if you're good at it, man, it's a very specific skill set to be able to juggle that much and to be able to interface with talent and engineers and artists and all that together and manage it all. I mean, I think a lot of you people out there watching this show, you very easily could make it into Fortune 500 companies, into the C-suite, because I mean, you've got the ability to manage way more than your average suit and tie does. So, props to you. Thank you for doing what you do, and tell your friends to watch the Showtech Show.
Do you have any interesting roadie shows or roadie stories that you like to share?
Probably not compared to the Wall Street Journal sections. I definitely recommend you look those up. Like this, I thought it was just kind of cute that at one point what resonated with me was I think she's touring with Bon Jovi or something like that. And it's like going through her timeline, wake up at 6 a.m., do this, order this, put out fires, blah, blah. All right, 8:30, it's showtime, fantastic. Come out and watch maybe half a song, then go back and actually get something done in the office. Like, you don't care about what's on the stage at that point. The message, the content is meaningless to you at that point. It's all about the technical aspects. And that's what resonated with me, at least, was, when you're doing these things, you look back and you're like, I don't even know what we were filming, or I don't even know what that was, but I was working on it for like 16 hours today.
It all becomes a big blur at one point in your life. You're just like, it's all the same, and it's a big blur, and it's not different cities. It's just the same thing every day, but it's enjoyable, honestly. I like it.
It's kind of
I like
cool.
waking up in a different city.
Yeah, and it kind of affects the way you listen to things and see things. It puts a set of shades on your eyes that you kind of see the world differently, and it's all about production value versus production content. It probably makes you a more informed consumer. So good on you, Showtex. That's good stuff. Check it out at Wall Street Journal. Very cool to see that kind of hitting the mainstream and maybe telling the story a little bit on behalf of us. Been following them on Twitter lately. A lot of good reads out of them. I'm going to next myself, unless you've got... Next! It's been nexted.
Honestly, I have to say one thing on this thing right here.
Yeah.
You got this touch panel, as you can see right here.
Touchy panel?
Holy cow. It is so much... Like, we're already like 20-something odd minutes into the show, and I have not had one issue yet.
Yeah,
It's
so I feel kind of
simple.
bad. I was in a bad mood last week, and I was kind of bagging on Wirecast. They're our software provider for our switching package that I've put together here. And it's a pretty legit machine, but the vision behind the construction was always this touch panel interface. That's why we went through the pains of becoming a Windows 8 platform. Apple probably would have been more stable operating system to build on top of, but I went Windows because it's more future facing and because of its native touch panel interface. Never got around to integrating a touch panel though, so still keyboard and mouse, and that was kind of stupid, but now we've got one hooked up and it works like the engineer thought it would. So, so suck on that, everybody else who questioned me. I'm talking to you, world. I don't know. But anyway, I'm glad you're enjoying it, TD, and sorry for all the bad crap last week, because that was not your fault. That was my jank system just not playing ball, but I'm glad to see it's treating you nice.
Thanks.
Keep it coming. Let's see. So, Yeah, this is kind of just a little note that I saw for you video editors out there. This is kind of a broadcast and TV show, so we're going to talk about video editing.
Sorry, lighting people.
Sorry, lighting people. Scott's back next week. Join us then. Until then, sit there and pay for ads. DaVinci, longtime color correction platform, recently purchased by the Blackmagic Designs Group, who's kind of known for putting out revolutionarily cost-effective, high-definition and 4K hardware products. So DaVinci, the Resolve software, I didn't realize this, but I read an article this week that DaVinci Resolve is available actually as a free application. It's just a means of them doing marketing for their brand. But what's neat about that is apparently this is a very capable video editing program and just format converting program, just for simple cross conversion. So if you record something and you need to spit it out into a different format, there's lots of built-in codecs and baked-in algorithms, and it does a really handy job, absolutely free. So that's kind of cool. DaVinci was originally a standalone product that Blackmagic bought out, and it's a hardware console, and that's why they market all this. They're trying to get you to buy into the expensive color correction system. So for all you film editors out there, I personally, I'm not a color correction guy. I mean, I'll do some light color correction work in my nonlinear, but mainly I know how to white balance my cameras. Just kidding. No, I don't know how to white balance my cameras.
You're looking a little blue to me.
You're a little blue. Shut up. No, just kidding. Yeah. So what's cool about that is, this is a neat free software application for entry-level video editing and just some basic editing. I'm always getting people asking me questions like, "Hey, is there something out there I can get into for doing some basic video editing?" And lately, I've been driving people toward like platforms like YouTube. YouTube of all things, you can upload your video and do some light video editing and captioning and things like that. I mean, not a great platform, but it's something. Windows has their baked-in thing, and then you get into the Apple, more affordable products, but not necessarily free. We were talking before the show, Avid used to have. Avid DV was a free version of their video editing package, but that's kind of gone by the wayside. Was never a high-definition platform, But this looks legit. This looks like something from a trusted company who's a power player and definitely ahead of the innovation curve. And that might be something worth checking out if you're looking for something new or something cheap or something just on the fly to do some video editing. We have our best reporters investigating it, and we'll update you with that in the future. But DaVinci Resolve from Blackmagic Designs, check it out. Jordan, you're a video editor. I thought you might have something to pipe in on that.
I haven't really used this DaVinci because I've been only on the 3 other editor softwares out there: Avid, Final Cut, and Premiere.
Yep.
All that knows about DaVinci, it was the color grading is basically people, that's what it is in post-production world. You have a person that basically cuts the program and stuff like that, and they send it off to a colorista. They send it off to a color correctionist, and that person just spends a couple of days color correcting every shot to make it look great and match and all the other stuff. But I'd never seen this editing side of it. It might be something interesting to download on my computer and just check it out, see if it's how smooth it is and if it's worth investing, because they do have that free package, the light, but it's an entry level, which is great for people that are starting out and that are doing basic editing.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. Not necessarily. I mean, there's that application for people who are getting started and just want to try something in nonlinear editing without forking over a couple $100. But I can see myself being on a show. Your laptop crashes, you're working with a fresh piece of hardware and you don't have time, or you don't have the resources to download a full editing package, and you need to do a minor clip or cut or get rid of some flaw before you take it live. This has legs. I mean, you could download this app and maybe do a quick change or conversion or something and save the day without costing any money out of pocket. I think that'd be pretty powerful. I've seen that happen a couple of times where it's like you're just on a show and that computer you're relying to do way too much just isn't there for whatever reason, and you've got to come up with a workaround, and you really don't want to reach into your pocket and hit for like $1,000 charge on your credit card just to do, cut 2 seconds off a video. That'd be terrible, but sometimes, show must go on, and this might be a good bailout for you guys. So just remember, you heard it here on the Show Tech Show.
And I'm looking at some of these screenshots. I'll come back to you with this. Look at some of these screenshots on the website, and it looks pretty simple to use. It looks like it's easy to get there, and I mean, just it has layers, almost like every video editing software has layers. It has this something simple to work on. I think this is a great beginning software to use.
Next!
And the next thing I want to talk about was, Jordan had this list teed up for the NAB and the FCC are having a little tete-a-tete.
Yes. So the NAB is trying to petition the FCC to shut down the white space database. The white space that they kind of released from the television analog market.
Yes.
So
and
they're trying to basically.
This was open spectrum for purposes of wireless mics and such.
Yeah,
I should know this.
It was going to be.
Basically, I walk right over whatever channel I want illegally.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of auctioned off into some governmental. We talked about some of this last week, remember, with Scott and stuff like that, kind of mentioning a little bit about the wireless frequencies. I don't know if it's on air or off air. I forgot. I just remember in my head that we were talking about this white space that was freed up from the analog TV world, since we're no longer analog broadcasting, but we're in digital mode. But it's,
yes. We were talking about all the wireless mic frequencies that died and had to transition to that. We kind of touched on it.
So basically, the NAB is petitioning. I cannot talk. I've had I don't know, just a weird day today.
Well, drink some more beer. That'll probably help.
All right, so the NAB is petitioning the Federal Communications Commission to shut down the databases, or at least certify the entries and clean them up, according to this website, tvtechnology.com. So it's interesting, we have...
The FCC is supposed to be policing these white space bands, but they're not really doing a great job of accounting for it, and it's just kind of a mess, and people are like, hey, you had one job. You had one job, and you're not doing it. Fix it.
Yeah, and I think the issue is, it's yes, we have this open for wireless, microphones or whatever, but all of a sudden we're getting something else being broadcast on it, and it's traffic it's designated for wireless microphone or whatever, but it's also being, I don't know, just used by somebody else, and the FCC is like, it's open for all use. And
yeah, my understanding was a lot of those frequencies went to cellular providers, and that was kind of a big deal, but I guess they're not really accounting for how that's being used so well. Interesting. Well, I know the chairman of the FCC is going to be a keynote speaker at NAB, so that'll be interesting to see how he responds to that in a public forum, directly speaking to his critics, because that's got potential for some. I lost my train of thought. Anyway,
next.
Sorry, I was reading something.
Next!
Producer fail. All right, well, that kind of wraps up our survey of the news this week in the show tech industry and many other random industries that aren't. Wow, I'm sorry. Reading the chat room. Bad idea.
Don't read the chat room at the same time.
I'm going to let my TD feed me all the pertinent information from chat. It's easier with the
looking at
co-host
it.
because one person can be talking, one person can be reading. I feel like I'm falling short on my duties. But for those of you out there, see, Scott actually does do something. So now you know. But let's take a look around the job board this week. Audible click. There she blows. That's a tough trans, not gonna lie. All right, so we're gonna start off the job board this week with a listing I found on Indeed.com. This is for KHOU, the CBS affiliate in Houston, Texas. They're hiring for a digital content producer. That's kind of a cool gig for a decent-sized market if you're looking to get into professional Twitter and Facebook. These people are also web content producers, editors, package creationists, so a little bit of internet programming, a lot of news gathering, a lot of social media skills. So for some of you young folks out there, this might be a good one to look at if you want to break into the exciting and painful industry that is corporate broadcast television. Also, Dice.com, I don't know if that counts as a plug or not. Dice.com is listing this week a part-time remote broadcast tech. This is for iHeartMedia. iHeartMedia, again, I guess it's a good over-the-top streaming radio service that you probably have heard ad nauseum on your terrestrial broadcast stations. iHeartMedia's got a lot of jobs, including in Texas, but remote broadcast tech, this was something that was in Pennsylvania. And really sounds like it's somewhat a promo girl, somewhat live sound mixer. So someone who can go out and set up live events, set up the booth, set up the tent, set up the talent and all the promotional thing. Kind of one-man bandit, but for a decent-sized company. Obviously, iHeartMedia produces all sorts of live events on up to and including major venue and multi-artist live concerts annually. So get in with those guys. This is a remote broadcast tech. You can find the job listing on dice.com. Mandy.com is one of my favorites out there. This is kind of an interesting one. Marble.com is looking for an all-around person, which I just had to stop and read what they meant by that. But let me give you some background on Marble.com. This is apparently a major marble and stone countertop distributor in the New York, New Jersey area. And they're looking for someone who can basically, it sounds like, be a line producer, go out with film crews and company vehicles and shoot location pieces about their beautiful marble and granite countertop installations and some high-end homes, and just kind of a light package producer that can put together these pieces for Marble.com TV, which is at tv.marble.com. The position they're advertising is $30,000 to $40,000. It's a 3-month to full-time position. Sounds pretty flexible. Sounds like it'd be a cool scene to work in. You've got a lot of self-driven, authority, and you can just kind of go work on a projects-based role instead of a punch-in, punch-out kind of coverage. So good flexibility, and you can apply to Derek out there at Marble.com. The listing's on Mandy. Also, we got ProductionHub.com. This one's through actually Team People LLC listing on Production Hub. In the DC area, this is for a full-time A1 position. So again, for live events, going out and setting up the board and audio and running the event, recording it, broadcasting it. Sounds like they're a subcon for people who might be more substantial, but this is in the Washington, D.C. area. Cool part of the country, and good sound gig for anybody out there, A1s, A2s. Hit them up on productionhub.com. And then staffmeup.com. These guys have a lighting designer position in Los Angeles, no less. This is a TV game show position. Scott, you need to get to LA, man. You could be on The Price is Wrong. And see, I controlled myself. But Staff Me Up, Jordan, this is a site that you turned me on to on Facebook. Yes. They sound like they've got some pretty decent listings. They seem to have a pretty good volume of job traffic coming through there. So if you're looking in your shopping resumes and such like that, staffmeup.com is probably you hit up too. In addition to all the rest that we cover and more as they come to us, if you've got any suggestions for jobs, if you're trying to get somebody placed, you can write to us here at the Lone Star Webcast Network. It's showtechshow at frontiertelevision.com. Or you can hit us up on Twitter. We're at showtechshow. And that's all I've got on the job board. You want to go into our Talk of the Week. Dun, dun. That wasn't a bumper. I was just saying Talk of the Week. We're talking about NAB this week, so it's coming up April next month. It's hard to believe March is almost on.
Oh, no.
What is going on?
It's going by quick.
What is happening?
What is up with this?
Come on, March.
Oh.
Where you at? But yeah, let's talk about some stuff we're excited to see, some technologies that are coming out, some vendors possibly that we want to look at. If anybody's in chat and wants to pipe in, probably not, Mom, but you're welcome to.
NAB is April 16th to the 19th.
Yeah, in Las Vegas,
Cool,
the Las Vegas
stuff.
Convention Center. Massive show in the broadcast and new media and House of Worship and everything production related basically comes through NAB. And it's a great place to go to be in the know about all the latest tech for your show, tech show.
So
write that down. But, yeah, I'll let you kick it off, Jordan. You're our chief broadcast guy.
Yeah. So as
Reporting now for the
reporting
Show.
now. Well, I plan on hopefully go to NAB this year for maybe a couple days to just check
Just
it
save
out,
your
see what
receipts
it's
for
up.
me, man. Just save your receipts.
But honestly, I plan on taking my GoPro and
Cool.
doing a little shooting and stuff like that, and hopefully when I come back and get a little spot edited and something that we could
Oh,
play
that'd be
back and
great.
everything,
Yeah, please do. Please do go get
So,
some shots and talk to
there's-
some people if you want to.
definitely will.
Rad.
I'll talk to the FCC president and everything else and all the big wigs and
Yeah.
get my way up there. Says I'm Jordan with Showtech Show, and I would like to do an interview. See how that works.
He'll say, "Oh,
Oh,
I'm so nervous.
I want to be on
didn't know you were
Showtech
coming."
Show. All right, so
Very cool. So, what are you
there-
interested in seeing out there? What are
know-
you making the trip to the desert for?
My biggest thing, and this is a topic that you had, was the drones.
Yeah. They've got a drone pavilion this year.
They do. And so they're having this. They're actually also, along with the drone pavilion, where you can probably be a netted off area and fly around and stuff like that. They're doing field trips this year, where basically they'll do a field trip out to somewhere around Nevada, some interesting location, and there'll be drones out there, and there's beginner courses, intermediate courses, and stuff like that, where you can go out there and fly around a drone.
Oh, okay.
I think some of the interesting thing is like you're mostly used to some of the drones that you have, like the DJI and stuff like that, but there's so much other different ones out there.
Oh my God, the field is huge. Yeah, I can see why they need a full-size pavilion for this now. The market has gotten completely flooded, and now that they've kind of relaxed the commercial usage rules, no end in sight. In fact, I read the FCC is actually trying to promote commercial marketing or commercial usage for drones now that they've got this. So.
And going back to an off subject, also how Amazon.
That's what I do.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about drones and stuff like that and commercial use now. And Amazon has now gone back to discussing using drones to make deliveries to residents.
Does that happen? I thought that got, because the line of sight thing, I thought that kind of put that out of business. Is that still something?
No, I honestly saw an article about it. Maybe I can pull it up when you're discussing your thing, but about how Amazon's revisiting the idea. I don't know if it's going to happen, but they were revisiting the idea and looking at it.
Well, we threw them a bone on when we were talking about this. One of our first shows this year was about how right now around Christmas time, the UPS guy will come down the street and they'll deploy a little golf cart. So we could very much see them just setting up in an area in a high volume delivery time, maybe sitting somebody in the truck with a drone or an iPad and driving the deliveries that way instead of getting out and tooling around on the streets. So there's still some leverage, even if you do have a line of sight rule that you have to abide by. I don't think that's completely unreasonable.
Yeah, the driver can basically sit in his golf cart and not have to walk to the doorstep or something like that.
Right.
Sit in the back of the truck like, oh, it's line of sight. It's going from the truck right in front of the house to the person's house.
And I could totally see the post office doing this because they're quasi-federal, at least. I know they're a private company now, but they probably could have some exemptions for that rule. If they could fire a full post office full of people and just hire one drone operator, I think they'd be the first to jump on that. They're trying to figure out how to get rid of Saturday delivery. So what if they just had Saturday drone-only delivery? Dun, dun, dun.
So
big drone fan, huh? I always thought that you'd be more afraid of the drone thing, the attack of the drones. As a camera guy, does that threaten you?
I don't know. The only thing that threatens me about this is you probably have a lot of kiddos out there that are not into this broadcast industry or any kind of television industry.
Not my kids. You saw the proof tonight on the Lone Star.
Yeah, we're doing that spitting contest. Should be after.
Oh yeah,
the
spitting
show's over
contest
with,
up next. Stay tuned.
So it's interesting to me because it's taken away from a jib, but oh gosh, it is a lot better now than anything else. Sorry, I'm getting distracted now. What you did with the chat, I'll look at the chat like okay.
See, Jordan, this is how this works. When you talk, I chat. When I'm chatting, you talk. So basically, it should just be you talking the whole time.
Reverse.
Nobody wants to see this.
All right.
And cut.
I'm back there. So honestly, it's interesting. I've seen the shots it does in a lot of TV shows and everything, and it's something interesting to have. And it's an expensive toy. I even should say toy. I should not say toy. It's not a toy. It's an expensive gear.
Yeah,
That's
done
what
right,
it is.
it's very legitimate. And actually, I reverse my position. I don't think that you should be afraid of this. I think you should embrace it like crazy. You should become a premier drone operator as a part of your value add as a jib operator and a kind of a specialized camera person already. This should be just another tool in your bag of tricks so that if you're on a show and you're doing like, yeah, I can run your jib. I got your 40-footer, no problem. Hey, I can do a drone. I can take it up. You should probably also try to get some time on the NFL Skycam there that they use.
Oh yeah, the Skycam.
Yeah,
which
figure
is
out how to
right
get
outside
involved
Fort
with
Worth.
that. Anybody out there who knows Skycam, I want you to send an email to jordan@frontiertelevision.com. We're going to get him set up with a Skycam internship. Go. Assignment done. No, but I mean, seriously, you should, this is a new technology, so you should kind of jump into it with both feet and be the expert on site for these kind of specialty camera applications.
Yeah. So back to the drones. I would be totally down if I can attach a crane to my drone and operate my crane from the drone.
You are blowing my mind there. So a flying drone with a crane with a remote pan tilt hit. Oh wow,
dude, that is like would be the super duper ultimate
Well, okay.
technology force out there
Uh,
that everybody would be drooling on.
Well, I was at when Red Bull, the air races came to Texas Motor Speedway this year. We were out there, and I thought it was cool. Like way out in the horizon, you could see they had set up a some poor camera guy was in a cherry picker. I swear to God, he was 250 feet off the ground outside the Motor Speedway, and he was filming the entry pass on the airplanes as they're coming through the starting gates. And I mean, yeah, you probably could just put a camera crane on a drone at that point, because that poor dude was running a studio camera like up above the clouds at that point. It was ridiculous. But yeah, so that's not, I guess, crazy. They do a lot of innovative photography themselves out there at Red Bull, because they get some pretty weird action shots. But
Red Bull has some cool stuff.
air races are coming back to North Texas this year.
Ooh.
Yep. They'll be, I think they're flying out of Alliance Airport, which is actually even closer to the Lone Star headquarters. So we don't have to make that annoying 2-minute drive up the road. We can just go right across the street and see these things. So I'm going to see if I can get a sky cam, not a sky cam, a tower cam.
Yes.
And just string it between here and the control. No, see if I get a tower cam set up, and then we'll pipe some live footage of that maybe for you guys.
So I got an article about the Amazon thing that I just mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
This is from TechCrunch.com.
TechCrunch.
So it says the FAA just released a statement indicating that Amazon now has limited permission to test and develop drones in the United States.
Oh.
It's not a blank check, though. The FAA gave Amazon strict rules and regulations. Part of the regulation was Amazon must abide to several rules, including keeping the drone under 400 feet and during daylight hours. The operator also must have a pilot's and medical certification, and most notably keep the drone within sight at all times.
Well, okay, so that doesn't
How
really
does that
give them
help?
any special... I thought it was going to be something like, what was it, Bezos? Jeff
Yeah.
Bezos? Because they're like, come on.
How does
SEC.
that
Come
honestly
on.
help?
I got more money
come
than
out-
God. Let me do what I want. They'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, sir, since you're a corporation, please don't leave America. So, okay, well, good for them. I guess innovation's not dead.
But yes, drones. Drones is something that I really want to like mess with and everything. It's something interesting. I have friends that have drones. It's like when they first came out, I was not really interested in it that much. I was like, just everybody's getting them. It's gonna be like this expensive hobby. You know, they're expensive to start out with. But the more and more stuff I see with them, especially with people that are not really into broadcast, TV and everything like that, but they just create their own YouTube stuff. It looks really good. It's
Yeah.
stuff that they can use it with, with a simple GoPro camera and a DJI Phantom 2 or something like that. It's really good stuff, as long as I don't know if I use it commercially to start with, I might just hobby and practice with it and then maybe go commercially.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's getting photography out of the hands of the professionals, which, I mean, professionals are great, but unless you're just really working 24/7 to think outside the box, you get that groupthink mentality, and you just don't see the world in a fresh light anymore. So it's nice to have these little injections of creative, random, stupid thought that make you, challenge your convictions about what is good shot and or what is good photography and what is a good shot and things like that. That you just might not see the genius that's right in front of you. I think my aha moment was when I saw the footage of somebody flew a video drone inside of a fireworks show in Florida. And if you haven't seen that on YouTube yet, that was awesome. Like just it was like being inside of a screensaver, but it was actual real life video, and it was beautiful high definition, and just, everybody put music to it just because it was crazy. It's just there's a lot of cool applications like that I'm sure we haven't even begun to scratch the surface of. And so yeah, drones will definitely open up a lot of new markets and a lot of new media and a lot of
And I read an article.
jobs.
I read an article about how they use some drones for the PGA golf tournament
oh yeah
for some
I can
different
see that.
shots. Which, getting rid of I guess the blimp, the Goodyear blimp that's usually at all PGA events.
Yeah, but it's so quiet though. The blim's like,
Yeah, this thing is.
I can somebody just throwing a putter like.
I could tell a golfer would start after a while, just like the noise of it going like this. That the golfer's going to take aim for it and try to shoot it down with his golf ball.
So did you see the South by Southwest stories about they had a drone down there that they had rigged up to shoot, I guess it could shoot fire and it could shoot silly string, and it was just going around screwing with people like. So for every legitimate application, there's going to be 30 million bad ones, but it's kind of funny, It's creative thinking outside the box. So this year's NAB, from what I gather, is all about IP connectivity and video over IP and voice over IP and using the networked infrastructure for content distribution and delivery. Not necessarily over the top like Apple TV, like we're talking about, but more inside the broadcast production environment. So instead of stringing your traditional video cables hither and yon, or your audio snakes, everything is digital and encoded digital, and then it breaks out to its destination.
Down like an Ethernet line or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. You'll have data routers instead of video matrix switches and audio patch panels and things like that. It's all data, and then your devices figure out what to do with the data and encode it and route it. And it's a way to move actually a lot more data than your traditional. It's funny, we're talking about like, oh, that old-fashioned digital video and audio. Now it's still digital, I guess, but this is data that can compress a lot more bandwidth is what it all comes down to. Anyway, it's all about the IP and the Internet Protocol, if you will. And in IP news gathering, LiveView, right, Jordan? This is the backpack that a lot of people use for news gathering and video production when microwave and satellite aren't readily available or cost effective. So it's basically like a little backpack you wear, and it's a specialized computer that's got 6, say, cellular data cards or devices, and it bonds those connections together. So maybe you have like a really weak 1/4 of a megabit upload speed off of your 3G data card from Verizon or whatever. It marries that plus a Sprint plus an AT&T plus a T-Mobile and puts them all together, so that maybe you're pushing 2-3 megabits, and which is suddenly enough to put out a high definition video feed that you can deliver point to point over the public internet to your broadcast station. They can pull it down and put it into the broadcast feed, or like for people like us here who do internet streaming, we could take that right into our switching system and spit it out to the webcast audience. So the LiveView people, they've come up with a camera top product that I'm kind of interested to see. So it's just something that sits on the hot shoe of a camera. Not even a hot shoe, just a battery operated device, but it bonds 2 cellular cards. So not a ton of bandwidth, but ultra light and tiny and portable. So you can bond together, especially with these 4G networks that are out there now. You can actually get a decent amount of bandwidth out of 2 cards. So they've kind of slimmed down the package, made it ultra lightweight for one-man band kind of operations. Slap it right on top of your camera, and there's your ENG kit. There's no van out in the parking lot with an operator out there pulling the footage. It's just used straight to the World Wide Web.
It's pretty. It makes
pretty cool.
It makes it pretty simple to do. I mean, everything that's making it small and portable for the user. Talking about this is something that could be on a backpack. That you can walk around. You drive a small gas efficient vehicle instead of a van. So I've seen a lot of more and more people going with these gas efficient cars. That's what TV people can go. News stations go to now. If everything can fit into a small bag, and we just walk out with a camera, tripod, and the LiveView thing, and we're set to go.
Well, in that same thread, we were talking about pre-show. We were talking about that Ricoh Live product we talked about last week, I think it was, where iPad-based multi-camera production, and your cameras, by the way, are just iPhones and iPod touches, things like that. I think it's going to be amazing what live production and what one-man band production are going to be over the next, not even 10 years, but like 2 years. It's going to be ridiculously lightweight and small, and it's going to make even today's most ultralight packages look just bloated and ridiculously unnecessary. Like, you had to put that into a van? Like, you had to that couldn't be carry-on? Like, your live studio couldn't be carry-on? I don't understand, And for all the missed promises of the future, like our flying cars and our hoverboards, I think TV technology is definitely on par. In fact, Back to the Future, one of the bits was when the gang, if you remember, they flew their hoverboards into the city building there. USA Today or whatever it was first on the spot with a drone taking cameras of it and everything. So I mean, dude, it's happening. Like, that is actually real. That's the one promise of Back to the Future that's actually come out. So, way to go, broadcast. Way to go, NAB. So check that out from LiveView, the little camera top adapter. That's the last I'll say about that. Jordan, you're also digging the 4K, the UHD stuff. That's a big thing in your bag.
Yeah, it's something that it's it's still coming out. We're still introducing this. More and more cameras are now coming into 4K. We talked about last week about that Panasonic 4K camera. It's a prosumer camera, but it's still like, it's affordable for anybody that can use. And it shoots quality 4K footage. So, I'm thinking what this year is going to be the main topic, the main thing about NAB. And it seems like what I've been pulling up from a lot of people's blogs and stuff like that, it's about 4K and UHD, ultra high definition.
Yes.
Super high def SHD, UHD. So with the introduction of more and more cameras coming out that can do 4K resolution, and TVs that can do 4Ks, I think that's something to look into. I honestly don't know where we're going to go from here in the next 5 to 10 years. What's going to be like? Are we going to have 8K or something like that? 10K? I mean, can capacity hold that much?
Yeah, well, that's interesting because there's two ways of looking at it. As a tech, maybe you're a video editor or a DP, the higher footage is always interesting because you want to capture the most clarity possible. It gives you more options in post-production. As a producer, as an executive level producer, your concern is always going to be for delivery. The footage does you no good if nobody can see it. And if your audience doesn't have 4K or 8K TVs, then why are you spending the extra money on 4K production if you don't have to?
Well, and it gets back to the point of, yes, we can shoot it, and it could be the production medium, but still with distribution broadcast, we still cannot broadcast 4K. There's no possible way we can
there's not
4K.
even there's a Blu-ray standard that's in the making. So if you're a non-live producer, there's some options for getting out there, but nothing's standardized. There's not really a great way to do it. Everything's proprietary. Everything's very limited as far as reaching that mass audience. But it's just a matter of time. In fact, one of the other things you want to talk about down here was the HEVC codec, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan. That's H.265 for those of you keeping track. So H.264 is kind of the adopted method of web video delivery nowadays. Most video in period is encoded with this standard that crunches the bits down. To put it in layman's terms, if you're not a dork like myself and Jordan, it's the MP3 of video. MP3 being the technology that took your compact discs and your tapes and your vinyl collections and made it like, oh, I can hold a bajillion songs in my hand now. I don't need a truck full of discs. So MP3 did that for audio. H.264 has effectively done that for video, where we can deliver beautiful high definition at streaming video rates over your Netflix or on your Blu-ray disc or whatever. You can pack so much video and so much media into tiny bandwidth rates that open up infinite delivery methods such as discs and streaming and broadcast and satellite and whatnot.
So you can basically on 4K you can deliver a H.264 file in 4K.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a big file.
Right.
So this new way of doing things, it's going to be, the same, it's going to look great and stuff like that. It's going to be a smaller file size. It's going to be you're not taking up as much space as you normally do with a H.264 or .mp4, anything, stuff like that.
Yes, and this is the voodoo magic of video. This is the dark art that I have big honking, say 100 megabit per second video bandwidth or 250 megabit per second uncompressed video bandwidth, and it goes through this magic algorithm in my computer, and it comes out at 2 megabits per second. And you can't tell the difference between the two. I mean, your color graders and your professionals, they'll see an artifact every once in a while. I was like, oh, that color gamut's not perfect or whatever. But dude, it's beautiful frame accurate, or buttery smooth frames, high definition video, and instead of taking completely unsustainable bandwidth, it's the whole world can have it at tiny rates. So H.265 predictably is the next generation of that. That is the future of this technology, taking even more humongous bandwidth things and compressing them down to the same thing, or taking today's same 100, 250 megabit bandwidth and compressing it down to something that you can get on your 3G phone or your on your dial-up connection like we're familiar with out here in Roanoke. But it's amazing to see what that will do, especially in regards to the 4K conversation, because obviously the ingest hardware, the cameras and the switchers and all the recording medium, that exists on the professional side. That's been out there. It's starting to get pretty baked in. It's starting to get standardized, and it's super affordable. It does not take a lot to transfer your high definition production workflow into a 4K workflow nowadays. You might even save some money on it, just because newer is cheaper nowadays. But now you add the element with HEVC of being able to potentially have a delivery medium over satellite or broadcast or terrestrial or internet or what have you that can reach that mass audience. And
Pigeon.
yeah, homing pigeon. You just tie a little Ethernet cable to them and but yeah, suddenly 4K becomes a very real part of the conversation. And I've kind of been advising people for a while who are going out and buying televisions, like, don't go spend the extra $4,000 on the 4K TV. It's kind of a bit right now. There's no point in using it, because what are you going to watch on your 4K TV? Are you going to be watching 4K Netflix? I mean, if you are, YouTube, great, but I don't think you're going to be happy with that purchase decision, especially since next year that 4K TV is going to be half the cost and probably about the same amount of content. But now I'm starting to modify that thought. I'm keeping a very close eye on HEVC, because if this becomes mainstream and available and broadcasters, distributors start adopting it in a meaningful way, that there's content that people actually want to see available in 4K, then yeah, you're going to watch a 4K TV. You're going to want to be able to support it. You're going to be able to want to take advantage of all those things, because it's every bit as amazing as HD was the first time we saw that. The first time you went to Radio Shack or whatever and saw the IMAX footage in high definition from the space station, like, oh my God, we should have sent a poet. 4K is equally like, so seriously, this isn't a window? This is actually television? There's no pixels to be seen. Like, even if you get up close and you're looking right down the barrel, like,
It's really good.
It's amazing. Definitely want to get it. So yeah, 4K, UHD, definitely. What are you interested in seeing the most out there at NAB, Jordan? Cameras or monitors or everything?
I'm into everything. I would like to see the drones, of course. I like to see cameras, new technology like the Steadicams and jibs and stuff like that. Also the broadcast trucks, just something that's interesting to have. Just different things in the trucks, what you have, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. The thing is, NAB, it's so big. I mean, usually 4 days you can't cover every single ballroom in there. I mean, you have to like what we usually do when I go. It's like I map out everything on my phone, and they've updated the app now that gives you like directions where to walk, a walking step-by-step GPS guided, like, okay, turn left, turn right, and then you're there at whatever booth you need to. So you can program yourself out.
Like if you do one show a year in this space, I do recommend doing the NAB thing, because there is so much to see. Like every conceivable every conceivable technology
You're
contest.
struggling also with me.
Woo, I'll have another. No, but it's massive. It takes over the entire Las Vegas Convention Center, plus outdoor pavilions, plus overflow venues, plus parties, plus everything. I mean, it is just a week chock full of exhibitors. Like you would need a team of 10 people to try to cover everything. So you really do have to pick and choose the stuff you want to know about early, research it, go out there, hit it hard, hit it fast. But it's a convention. There's tons of freebies. There's tons of great industry contacts. They actually do have keynote addresses and speakers and speaking tracks. You can pay extra and go to training courses and so if your company's sending employees out there, there's a lot of return on investment for that sort of thing. But man, yeah, it is there. You are not wanting for activity. You will not roll into this place and be done in half an hour and then looking for drinks. Like it is a full-time gig to go out to NAB and try to research. And every time I've been, which has not been as much as I wish it was, but even as a small-time facility engineer, I was busy the entire time going, that's amazing. I need to learn more about that. Oh my gosh, I'm looking into the future. Tell me more about this. How does this work? Who are you? I need your card. I need to know you. It was none of that time was wasted. So really cool show.
And it's hard because you want to spend 45 minutes or an hour on a certain booth.
Yeah,
and you just want to sit there. You want to look at things. You want to talk to that person, ask a bajillion questions to this guy. But it's like, I still got to go to this next booth and, go there and see what I want there.
Yeah, because the next
like
thing
that.
on your hit list is just as enticing. You're like, I really want to see this, but it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon already. I got a haul. So that kind of sucks, because you're looking forward to going to Las Vegas all week and just like doing nothing and blowing off your time on the clock. But man, no, it's really fun. It's really cool if you're a nerd, broadcast nerd like us, and it'll keep you busy. So NAB, man. So you kind of hit on the production trucks, and I guess we'll finish up on the NAB talk with that. Yeah, that's something I'm definitely interested in seeing is the outside broadcast pavilion. This is where all the mobile trucks and the live production things, everything from satellite uplink vehicles to 53-foot production semi trucks and fold out Wonder Whizzes.
HDMC one.
HDMC one was over there. Which was a really cool project we got to work on back in the day. It was basically a marathon coach bus that they had outrigged for high-def production and non-linear everything. It was cool. It was nice. It was like cozy on the inside. You felt like a rock star working in it, and it had kind of state-of-the-art video. So, but what I'm excited about this time is Game Creek. Their Encore product will be making its, I don't know if it's debut, but it will definitely be on display out there. And this is a 3 semi-trailer unit. Go ahead and pull up the website if you can, because I could not memorize all the specs. But this was another IP engineering feat, another marvel, where they're leveraging it was 10 gigabit base internet. So not just gigabit internet, but 10 gig internet connections everywhere. And I think it was something like the truck system could handle something like 6,900 concurrent, uncompressed, high-def SDI streams, monitors, that sort of thing. So whether they're being recorded or played out or monitored or whatnot. 6,900 video cameras, essentially, or video feeds. Blows my mind. And I'm sure
6,900 uncompressed HD SDI signals.
Uncompressed,
Where do you
this is
need
not even talking about
6,000?
compression. This is not talking about HEVC or H.264. This is raw HD SDI video, 444 video. That is mind blowing. And they talk about the bandwidth that goes through that thing, and they talk about the square footage that's in this Encore product. But this truly is the gold standard from a very large live production vehicle company. And you get to go out there. You get to walk through
23 terabytes per second of data translate.
Yeah, 23 terabits. Yeah, but I mean, can you even wrap your mind around that? So you're sitting at home, you're watching the Lone Star Webcast Network, and we're hoping that you're getting a wonderful viewing experience as you can read the beautiful high definition text on your screen that Jordan scrolls through, and you can hear the audio now that we've turned up the sound. Yada yada yada. We're bringing this all to you in beautiful 2 megabit video, not even 2. I think if you look at the bandwidth, what are we reading on bandwidth right now? What's our outbound bandwidth on that thing up at the top there?
Oh, it's 713 kilobits per second.
Okay, so 0.7 megabits.
What?
23 terabits is, okay, so 23,000 megabits. We're using less than 1 to bring this to you. Can you imagine, that's like all the information in the Library of Congress, like 1 billion times over every nanosecond, just going out the window. That's so much bandwidth and so much. And their philosophy behind designing vehicles and systems like this is, over design, because productions will continue to scale up. They're never going to be like, oh, give us less production value. But that certainly seems to be pushing that paradigm to the limits, because that's just read this article. Where's that article? Do you have the website off that one where I got that out of? I forgot.
It is sportsvideo.org.
Sportsvideo.org. But so, yeah, read through this thing. It will blow your mind about what Game Creek has done with the Encore platform. And then come out and see them in Las Vegas. You can take the tour, tell them, yes, I'd like to buy 3. And they will laugh at you, because they only rent these things because even Turner Broadcasting can't afford them. But pretty cool technology. That's also kind of the pavilion where I got down on the satellite internet. That's kind of a cool thing for me, is going out to remote locations and popping up a dish and hitting a bird in the sky and being able to broadcast to the globe, out in the middle of nowhere.
I'm reading more about this talk, and it talks about
You want to harp on it, don't you? It's just amazing.
It's like I can't wait to see it. That's my biggest thing.
What's the square foot? Is the square footage figure in there? It was toward the top.
It's the massive unit comprises 3 53-foot trailers, providing nearly 2,400 square feet of production space.
How much?
2,400 square feet.
2,400 square feet of just production area in a truck. I mean, like
Expanded.
And
When the
that's kind
sides
of
are
what's neat about
expanded.
this. I mean, it's by studio standards. It's a good size studio. Well, it's a good size back end. I mean, you hook this up to a semi truck, and you could do this sort of production in Alaska. I mean, you can go to places where there is nothing and set up your own video world, and it's just really cool to see that. I'm really into that mobile integration and engineering and getting all of the accoutrement of studio-based production, packaging it into a survivable tactical piece that you can take out into the wild and bring people some really amazing footage and stories that otherwise, you couldn't capture with everybody. So
I just reading this, just more. It's really amazing.
but
it's
wait,
just like,
there's more.
it has a Grass Valley K-frame production switcher with 9 Emmys.
Yeah.
9 Emmys. Like where I work at, we have maxed out at 3 Emmys.
Which, I mean, that's fairly
9.
standard. I mean, especially for House of Worship, that's not bad. But 9 Emmys, I mean, so you've got your main production, you've got your... Maybe
could be
you've got
whatever.
some set pieces.
It could
Maybe
be
you've got
a
your
web-
webcast. Maybe you've got your broadcast. Maybe you've got your
Independent TVs.
your foreign channel mix. Maybe you're simulcasting in Chinese and you want to send them out a mix. Oh my God!
It's just
Who,
mind-blowing.
okay, if you're a TD out there, raise your hand if you could handle a 9 ME switcher. Like, my brain tops out at like 0.5.
I'm not even raising my
That's why
hands.
Jordan's
I'm
working the
not
board
here.
right now, man. And that's just so cool to me. So check out the Mobile Pavilion at NAB. Do you think that's enough NAB talk? Have we lost them?
I think so. I think everybody's like,
nobody's
what's about NAB? It's like NAB. It's like we'll probably have more when we come back.
Yes, definitely. So we're, I guess Jordan's serious about covering this. We're going to send him out with some very humble equipment from the Lone Star with the guarantee that he's going to bring back some amazing footage. But I'll talk about what you can expect here next week on the Lone Star once I get my music.
It's coming up.
All right, no, I hear it. I'm good. I'm just jamming. I'm an idiot. Thank you for joining us. Next week, dun dun dun, it's tax season, folks, and a lot of you freelancers out there might be interested to hear some music.
Yeah, it has looping around.
Okay. I don't talk unless there's music. There's no music, I'm not talking. But so we're going to talk about taxes and tax prep and tax tips, anything we can come up from our tax pros and freelancers out there. Just kind of give you some tips and tricks and things to avoid as far as being an independent professional out there. Never easy. We've also got a special guest joining us from the theater world. Scott is promising to bring another brave soul onto the Lone Star and here on the Showtech Show. We're going to put him under the hot lights and talk to him about show teching and being a Showtech show and tech from shows and such. All that and more coming up next week on the Showtech Show. Thank you for joining us and good night.